Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with the second Cabral HouseCall of the weekend. Hopefully you were able to tune in yesterday to 2388. Today, if you'd like to follow along with the questions, head on over to stephencabral.com/2389. We'll be going over 6 more questions today. Like I said, I'm currently recording this weekend's house calls in my hotel room in the sunny Southern California area. Just got finished with some amazing meetings with friends and colleagues here, and excited to be back to California. It's been a little bit of time. But I wanted to make sure that we got our house calls in together. I love being able to answer your questions. If the audio quality, again, isn't where you expect it to be, my apologies. Hopefully it is good. Hopefully it's good enough, and hopefully it's good content, because when I'm back for tomorrow's show, I'll be back in my recording studio and office, and we'll be back to podcast as normal. All right, let's dive into today's questions. Once again, appreciate you being here. Appreciate your support of the show. So today's first question is from Deanna. And Deanna says, I'm currently weighing my options for correcting my 5-year-old daughter's crossbite. Our holistic dentist recommends an ALF appliance, while the orthodontist we consulted with speaks highly of a Hang Expanser. I didn't realize until recently how much asymmetry in the mouth jaw can really affect overall wellness. I want to make sure that I make the best choice for her long-term health. Do you have any insight into the world of orthodontics, myofacial therapy that could help me better make this decision? Maybe you have seen clients in your practice with one or both of these appliances. Any materials recommendations would be helpful. Thank you so much. All right, Deanna, happy to help with this. We actually talk about this a decent amount in at least in IHP about like holistic dentistry. But I am more of an advocate of not changing the structure of the palate and mouth if it's going to lead to long-term based issues. So, what do I mean by that? Because again, I don't want to provide you with medical-based advice or treatment plans or any protocols, especially since I'm not actually there. But what I want to do is I want to provide you with some behind the scenes on what can affect the overall facial-based structure, etc. The biggest one, believe it or not, is when a child is young, 5 years is young, is that they are breathing through their mouth at night or even during the day. So the very best thing that you could do is to make sure they don't have swollen tonsils, because you can shrink those naturally as well. We had to do that for my oldest daughter. So my youngest daughter never had an issue, okay? My oldest daughter, she just turned 10. She had swollen tonsils, breathe through her mouth. You could hear her snoring basically through her mouth. And I had to take, my wife and I, it was a long time, 6 to 8 weeks to shrink those tonsils. Then we did malt taping. So we didn't malt tape until we shrunk the tonsils. Then we did malt taping to help her to retrain her breathing through her nose, which would then help for the shape of the mouth. Because the way that the teeth form too on the top is that the tongue gets depressed against the soft palate in the top of the mouth. So if your mouth's open like this, if you're watching this on video, then the tongue is not pressed up at the top of the mouth. And if the tongue is not pressed up at the top of the mouth, then that means the teeth can start to crowd in. And then you don't get the expansion that should be there. So you get the thinner jaw. I'm sure partly why my jaw is like that as well. And you lead to a longer face. And again, this has been shown too with eating more processed food. I'm not saying that you're doing that, but it can happen over generations. And that was a Weston Price discovery as well. He wasn't the only one, but certainly a pioneer in that field as a dentist. So that's that. So I know people have had palate expanders when they were young and they end up with TMJ-based issues when they're older. I know all sorts of different issues, but having said that, I would go with the gentlest device possible that still gets you the results you're looking for while also doing the things that I talked about as well. All right, so hopefully that is helpful. Patty's up next. Most health practitioners say that after eating, one should not lay down, but to take a short walk, or some type of light exercise. I know that the digestion process goes to a processing meal after eating and we feel sleepy. Most animals sleep after eating. Shouldn't we honor our body's signals and rest for a short time after eating so that our bodies can concentrate on the processing of the food? All right, I mean, this is a good question. And that's definitely two schools of thought. Should you take a little siesta or nap or something like that after a meal? Well, the thing was, it was taken after your biggest meal of the day. So think about it. An animal might eat one big meal per day. Like if we're talking about like a big cat, like a lion, right? It might eat one big meal every couple days, right? And then it rests afterwards. Why? All of that blood and all of the energy is going towards that digestion. However, if we're not overeating at a meal, the walk will actually help what's called postprandial glucose levels. That means a 20-minute walk after a meal actually can help with digestion as long as it's a light walk. It's not stressful. You're breathing relaxed, and it can actually help with that glucose level. So if you're someone that's dealing with blood sugar issues, I would choose that. If you're someone that had a good sized meal, well, you may want to lie down for 20 minutes on your left side, not your right side, but your left side. The stomach forms a pocket on the left side like a kidney bean, and that's called the fundus. The food will sit there, and you'll start to work on digestion there to start. So that is what I'd recommend. Two different recommendations based on two different types of people. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. Erin's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I was recently diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. You know, I still can't pronounce that word. I've never looked up how to actually spell it. Know quite a bit about it. Worked with quite a few people with this, but I apologize if it's not the correct pronunciation. You believe it was caused by your Lyme disease. My question is something I can get into remission like my Lyme? I'm most worried about this affecting me and a future child in pregnancy. Thank you so much. All right. Well, that's a good question because it is hereditary, but by the way, everything is hereditary, right? When I had type 2 diabetes and I had rheumatoid arthritis and I had mastocytosis and I had all these different things, all of those were hereditary as well. Now, I don't have any of those anymore, and I'm very fortunate. Obviously, I was able to find my answers and now, of course, trying to teach others as well, especially through the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, which, by the way, if you're not familiar with kind of how to heal yourself and then go on to share that with others, I would definitely look into that. That's integrativehealthpractitioner.org. We take on 100 new members per month. That's to become a health coach or the health coach in your home. So anyway, that's that. I just wanted to share that because I know a lot of people ask about it. But I believe it is. So again, I can't provide you with medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical protocols, medical cures, but I do believe you're able to put it in remission. People are not familiar with EDS. It is a connective tissue disorder that can lead to hypermobility and kind of elongated tendons and ligaments and other things like that. My recommendation 100% of the time is when you have a serious dis-ease that you want to run the Big 5 labs. You don't have to run them with us. You can run them with your local naturopathic doctor, your local integrative health practitioner, level 2. You can find level 2 practitioners at integrativehealthpractitioner.org and then just click on the practitioners tab and look for level 2. What else? You can work with our IHP team. Our Equal Life team, of course. That's at, you can just go to stephencabral.com/health-coaching. That'll send you over there. So those are definitely my recommendations. You need to figure out what's causing the inflammation, what's causing the stress, are there any gut issues, other heavy metal issues, like 100%, that's what you want to do. I have not a whole show, but I have a show on Ehlers-Danlos. And again, I apologize if that's not the correct pronunciation. I should find that out. But I do. If you go to stephencabral.com, I'll do it with you right now. Let's go to stephencabral.com/podcast. Let's type it in. All right. And let's see if we can find it. It shows up on episode 1912. And then it definitely shows up on 1688. And then it's on 1443. So definitely check out those shows. All right. 1443, 1688, potentially 1912. Those I talk about it as well. All right. Annette is up next. Annette says, hi, Dr. Cabral, long-term listener and Ayub Owen member. Love all your podcasts, the information you share. I have 2 questions. In your book, The Rain Barrel Effect, and on your previous podcasts, you've mentioned that you have a specific gene mutation that causes certain histamine overproduction. How can I find out if I have certain mutations? Is there a genetic test that I can run? You seem to know so much about how your genes affect you and how you control them so they won't express themselves. I know this information would help me tremendously as well. Also, what are some of the supplements that you would recommend for getting rid of unwanted bacteria in the body? Are cat's claw and oregano effective? If so, what are the dosages you recommend? Okay, so let's see here. If you go to stephencabral.com/podcasts and you type in Lyme protocol, I have ones on those products right there, oregano oil and cat's claw. However, my recommendation is actually the CBO protocol. Again, not providing any medical advice. The reason is you want to run the CBO protocol because oftentimes it's our own gut spilling bacteria and proteins, etc., that's causing the majority of these imbalanced inflammation-based issues, which leads to what's called a Th2 immune imbalance. And that's what you will have to correct first, really, the foundation. So you read my book, The Rain Barrel Effect. You know about Th2 immune dominance. You have to first start with the gut, then you work on stress, and then you can work on specific genes. And I use a product, I use the allergy protocol, which is the alkalizing vitamin C, and the Hispro. I use it every day. I just do a half a scoop of the Elk C in the morning, and then I do another half sometimes mid-afternoon, or that's typically what I do. But I just usually do a half a scoop. And then I do the Hispro every day. That's probably one of my favorite products ever, ever, especially for anybody with allergy-based issues. So when it's bad, you can do 2 to 3 capsules 3 times a day. For me, I just do maintenance-based dose. Such a great anti-aging based product as well. And so I do 3 capsules. That's it per day. So that's what I do. All right. So here's what you want to look at. For your histamine gene mutations, you want to look at the AOC1 gene, and you want to look at something that's called the DAO. And these have specific SNPs and RS. I'm not going to go too deep on that, but most, so they're called SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms. Most of those you'll be able to find pretty easily, pretty readily. We're going to recommend a genetic test in about 6 months or so. We don't recommend one yet. We used to have one, and we used to really like recommending it, but I had to do all the calls, and I simply just wasn't able to keep up with that. But definitely look for that this fall, and then maybe winter or so of this year, okay? So hopefully that's helpful. But again, it's just not one thing. You want to look at your MTHFR gene. You want to look at your COMT gene. All of these things play together. But if you're looking at specifically, the AOC1 and the DAO, that's important. All right. Good question. Jen's up next. Hi, Dr. C. I recently started drinking a glass of water with apple cider vinegar before I drink my morning smoothie. I've heard it helps with the blood sugar spikes to drink this prior to meals. I've been taking my morning supplements with my glass of water and ACV. Is there any issues you see with combining my supplements with ACV? Thank you. All right. No, we actually teach this inside of our Fatlocity system, which is our weight loss system, because it does help with glucose. So nothing wrong at all, unless you're mixing it with something like the alkalizing vitamin C, because apple cider vinegar, acidic as it comes into your mouth and stomach, and then it's more alkaline, I'm using that in air quotes, as it enters the body because of the minerals that are in it, like potassium. Okay, and then alkalizing vitamin C is more alkalizing because it's a bicarbonate, which is a higher pH, versus the vinegar, which is low pH, right? But apple cider vinegar actually helps with digestion as well, and so there's really no issue with that. But I would take it 20 to 30 minutes before your smoothie, because it's not great necessarily to mix kind of if it's a fruit smoothie with that. So just 20 to 30 minutes before on an empty stomach, or even an hour before, and there's no issue at all. Typically 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons max, and 8 ounces of water. And there you go. So I like the Bragg's apple cider vinegar, but any raw apple cider vinegar, not cooked, not heated, is a good one with what they call the mother at the bottom. Just shake it up. But again, if you're someone with histamine issues, you're going to want to stay away from vinegar for right now until you correct those. All right, Audrey's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I would like to do the CBO protocol, but I know the food list is very restricted. I'm training for races except for a few months of the year. Then I start training for the next race season. On long rides, I like to take hummus, Cliff, Block, Chews, picky bars, etc. for nutrition, which is obviously not on the food list. How do I do the CBO protocol while keeping up my nutrition on long runs and rides? You are truly brilliant, and I appreciate all that you do. Well, thank you, Audrey. I appreciate that. Not sure I deserve that compliment, but I appreciate you. And believe it or not, the CBO protocol is not as restrictive as people think. It's not. Like, there are no food groups that are restricted. It's just certain foods within those groups. So, for example, there's like 24 fruit on the list. So if you're someone that is doing rides, fruit's on the list. Like, people like to take dates with them. Well, if you want a chewy something, well, a pitted date can be pretty good, right? Anyway, so here's what I'm gonna say. So basically, for 3 weeks, it is a more restricted plan. However, there's still 24 fruit, over 3 dozen vegetables, all proteins that you could want, and your fats are olive oil, avocado, coconut oil that you're probably not doing a lot of on your long rides, just for digestion reasons. And then it's grain-free for the first 3 weeks, but there's still sweet potatoes. There's still yuca and yams and things like that. So believe it or not, I don't think it's as restrictive as you would think. And then, so really, you want to find a 3-week window where you're like in it to win it. And then after that, you're introducing new foods of like that are on the list after that. And even oatmeal can be on that. So some bars with oat-based bars might be acceptable. So I think there's a lot more, believe it or not, that you can do. And you can even take hummus. And so you just want to find one without the garlic in it for the first 6 weeks or so, which there obviously are. So that's absolutely what I would do. Believe it or not, it's not as restrictive as you would think or people think. It's really not. And I can't recommend it enough just because it's helped like well over 10,000 people. It's used by more practitioners worldwide than any other gut protocol that I know of. And it gets results. It took a long time to formulate that. And I know it's going to work. It's just such a great protocol. It really is. We've just helped so many people with it. And I wish I had it 20 years ago. I really do. And that's obviously why I want to get it out to as many people as possible. And it costs a lot of money for us to create that. There's very little, like in terms of what they call margin. We just try to get that protocol to as many people as possible. We really do. We just find it to be a big benefit. So hopefully that was helpful, Audrey. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into the show. I appreciate you. I really do. I'm going to be back tomorrow with my pro microphone and pro camera. But hopefully today's show and this weekend show is worthwhile. All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Before you go, I wanted to ask you this question. What if I could teach you in just a couple of hours how to transform your thyroid, hormones, adrenal, cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, weight loss, energy, mood, brain, pregnancy, anti-aging, or many other health-related issues? After 20 years in private practice, after seeing and overseeing 250,000 client appointments, I sincerely feel I have the real-world data and have found the answer you've been searching for. So what I've done is spent hundreds of hours of my own time refining what you need to know in order to uncover your underlying root cause health issues and then begin to rebalance the body and bring it back to a state of robust health and wellness. I'm going to teach you exactly what I do in my private practice so you can understand how you got here and now what you need to do in order to heal. You'll receive all of the important success checklists, protocols, and even ways to customize it to make the program fit your busy life. And you'll get all of this at a fraction of the price. Let me save you the time, money, energy, stress, and frustration of not knowing what to do next. Instead of reading dozens of books on the topic and seeing multiple practitioners, I will condense everything that you need to know in just a few hours of video tutorials that you can watch and listen to anywhere. Together, we will make this healing process an enjoyable one that you can take with you for the rest of your life. I wish you all of the best of health and happiness, and I hope to be able to guide you on your healing journey through my health results accelerators. Simply choose the health imbalance you're currently suffering from, and by the end of today, you'll know what went wrong and how to get well again. I guarantee it. For details, head over now to stevencabral.com/courses.